Alright, so for the tutorial today, it's going to cover cutting this woman's image out of the background so you can see that her hair is pretty curly, pretty messy. So I'm going to go over how we can actually cut this subject out of the background pretty efficiently without having to get in here and use a pen tool and all that other stuff. We're going to utilize masks in the demo to get her out of there. So that's going to be what we're covering here. So to start, this is an RGB image. I'm going to double click this background layer. I'm going to then jump into the channels menu. The channels menu, if I had converted this image to CMYK, you would have a cyan, magenta, yellow, black channel. When I turn these channels on or off, I'm going to see only a black and white image, and it's going to be only the red pixels within the image are going to be displayed in black on this. Then if I hit the green, these are going to be only the green pixels that are within this complete package of RGB image being displayed again in black, and then blue. So what I need to do is ask myself which version of the image, which color from the image is going to give me the most contrast, right? Between the hair piece and the background piece. So what I'm going to do is say that obviously it's blue. You know, blue gives me the most contrast out of the hair from the background. Green, not so much. Red, definitely not so much. So I'm going to click the blue channel. So I'm going to I'm actually going to Alt-click and drag this blue layer into this new layer tab here. And it's going to ask me if I want to rename it. I'm just going to leave it the same. And I have a blue copy here. So what I'm going to do then is zoom in on this woman's hair, these edges. I want to make sure that I stay focused on this for what I'm going to do next. So for this blue copy channel here, it's going to act just like a layer. I can tweak this color just like a layer. I'm going to go into mode, image adjustments, and then levels. And then my reason for doing this is that I'm going to increase the contrast between the hair and the backgrounds. So I'm just going to increase the darks a little bit in levels. I'm going to increase the brights, and you can see that I'm starting to maybe lose a little bit of the midtones here. I can also drag this midtone point. I'm going to say to myself, okay, you know, obviously I have more contrast here after I've done the levels than I've done here. So I'm going to leave it at that. So now I've really got a very contrasty image here. So what I'm going to do then is I have my blue copy here, channel layer, and I'm going to select this selection down below, and it's going to say load channel as selection. So I'm going to hit that. So I have this selected, that's fine. I can go back to the layers tab then. Then what I can do is I'm going to create a mask basically of what I have selected. I'm going to do that by hitting this Add Layer Mask button. So now you can see that all of the light areas that I had selected are being maintained in the image, and then what is being masked out is the stuff that I really want, which is everything, the hair, some of these mid-tone lines. You can see that even, you know, pieces of, you know, these 50 to 70% opacity areas are still being maintained, which is great because it's going to give it that natural look. It's going to look like it's going to be naturally on that background. So I have that piece. Now I'm going to select this mask layer that's just been created here. I'm going to go up to Image, Adjustments, and I'm going to hit Invert. Now this is going to basically invert what I currently have masked there. So now I have just inverted my original selection. So now I have everything I want. You can see that this hair seems pretty natural at this point, but of course, you know, we're losing all this. She's transparent now. That's not what really, you know, the final piece of what we want. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to manually select that piece, those hard edges around the body, and then maintain what I have going on in the hair at this point. So I'm going to go over to this mask layer, and I'm going to Alt-click, and then it's going to take me into this masking mode here where I can use my either brush tool or my eraser tool to either select or deselect an area. So again, I can jump out of that just by clicking this thumbnail on the layer. So what I'm going to do is then hit this mask layer with an Alt click, and I'm going to jump into this mode where I can take a brush and I can increase the opacity to refine my selection, okay? So here, I'm just going to show you, I'm just going to put a kind of a giant X on her face. I'm going to jump out of this mode. Now you can see that this skin layer here is back. It's back, it's being unmasked, if you will. So that's the goal of why I'm in here, is I'm going to then unmask the pieces that I want. And I'll kind of rough this edge in. Okay. Alright. And it doesn't have to be perfect up here because all this hair is eventually going to get filled in with the brush. So I've closed out that path. I'm going to go to paths, hit my sub menu here. You can see my work path here, the little thumbnail on the side. Make selection. Okay. Go back to layers, make sure that I have my mask layer selected, and then just painting it in so I don't make a mess. And deselect with the Command D. Make this smaller. Now I'm going to finish up all the stuff that I want here. I'm going to get pretty close to this edge of the hair. I can go back and preview what I have going on. You can see here that there's some areas of transparency in the hair that's going to come through and show. So, you know, I want to get rid of all that. So let me just do a quick lasso. You know, get rid of as much of that as I can. Okay, all right. All right, and then this last little piece. I'll just rough that in. All right, so I'm going to jump back to her now. Okay, so I have her kind of at this point. It looks okay, but it looks a little deceiving because we have these checker marks in the background. So the real test is going to be for me to create a new layer, and I'm going to fill it with color. Edit fill. So I'm going to choose a color. I'm going to choose like a, what did I say? I was going to do like a purple or something. Like something a little darker. Okay. Alright, so this is what we have as a result of that. So yeah, generally, again, around the edges it looks pretty decent, but around the hair you have this kind of halo, right? This halo is a result from basically those selected pixels. Here you can see it pretty good here. They selected pixels from the original channel, you know, were brought in, and some of these are semi-transparent and so on and so forth. So there is a way to kind of get rid of that. And what I'm going to do is actually create a new layer on top of this. And then I'm going to use my clone stamp tool to fill in all of these areas that are on top of that. So what you do is click on this woman layer and then create a new layer. And then on this layer, you're going to want to control click it, and you're going to tell it to create a clipping mask. So this is going to then, this layer is going to be my layer that is going to be exactly the same shape as the layer beneath it. Blending mode on it to darken. This is going to be, the reason why we're doing this is because these light edges, once I clone stamp everything, are going to be darkened and blend into the background better. Clone stamp tool is going to be set for current layer. In this situation, you're going to want to select current and below. That's going to mean that basically I can clone stamp the artwork below to the layer above, which is exactly what I want to do here. So under sample, again, you'll have current layer, hit current and below. So then I'm just going to make sure, I'm going to keep my blank layer selected here. And I'm going to make my opacity, like I'm going to start at 50% because I want to see kind of if I get the results I want that way. Maybe a lot more careful than that. So I'm going to stamp here. I'm going to brush it there. Stamp here, brush there. So I'm trying to brush all of the light parts so it looks more, you know, natural. So now you can see that the feathering here is a little more natural than it is in the other areas. So this is kind of where it'll take a little bit more time to do. And a little bit of that judgment. It's going to be kind of a judgment call. Be careful that when I start stamping here and sampling an image here, and I start sampling it here, it's going to show up there. So what I try to do is stay as far away from that edge as possible when I sample and stroke. So I'm going to sample way out here and then stroke over here, so I don't get that, you know, obvious clone stamp effect. Closer I get to this thing. Now the closer we get to her face, then I'm going to have to really be careful with what I'm doing here. Because I don't want to put any face pieces out on her hair edges. Kind of just clean it up like that. The only other thing I wanted to show you from this for demos today is the filters palette in Photoshop. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to get this background here. I have this background selected. Actually, no, I'm going to start filtering the woman. So if you go to filter, filter gallery, I mean here is kind of where I want everyone to like do some experimentation as far as when they start creating their image compositions for the shoe catalog when we get to that point. Those image compositions are really the section pages. So in the template, you'll see a big blank page before a bunch of subsequent shoe pages. That's what I'm talking about, like a section page. To see, it could be kind of fun. So, you know, for instance, you know, these artistic. I'm going to start with something that's probably more a little realistic. Palette knife. So you have your artistic filters, your distort filters. I'll just go down the line. Sketch. So these are all previewing a little bit of what the filter is going to do. It's not an actual preview. That you're going to get on the left-hand side once you click on the filter that you're looking at here. You know, I'll start with this fresco. And here's some other filters for you to see. And every filter is going to give you this panel of options here. Brush size, brush detail, you know, increase or decrease these sliders to change the effect of these pieces. So I can increase the texture of, okay, here it's kind of showing up a little bit better. Some are more sensitive than others. Some are more powerful than others of these sliders. And yeah, really, it's just all about kind of experimenting what you think might fit with the look of the image. You know, she looks like she's from a dated time period, right? So maybe fresco does make sense for this piece. You know, say you're photoshopping a Lego block into a Leonardo da Vinci painting and it was done in fresco, you could make it very believable by using a filter like this on a layer. All right.